Hello, hello, hello. Another exciting week of comic books. Thank you for staying with me, the handful of people that share my like for comics and my, I don't know, desire to improve progressively what I can say and I cannot say in English. Well, I've been talking all day, so my voice is a little bit rough, but I can't skip New Comic Book Day, right? Is what's exciting about all of this. So, welcome to my own weekly recommendations with m- myself. Well, with me, Carlz. This is another comic week full of exciting stuff. It will come a day or like a week, a new comic book day when I will go, man, this week there's nothing exciting. But I thought about it the other day, and that's virtually impossible. I mean, if you like the medium, like there's always something like I don't know. It doesn't need to be the best or like some breakthrough stuff every day, but like you are already so ingrained with these characters that it sounds cheesy, but you're like they are like part of your life, and by that basically you mean that whenever something new happens, it feels like hearing from a friend, right? Or like I don't know, uh, getting the news about something that happened in real life. Maybe that's the whole thing. Like it finally comes, everything comes together, and you are like experiencing. I don't know, real. I don't want to say real life, but you are so like in touch with this that it's like part of you. So it's like what happens every week, like it happened with your friends and your family. But whatever, another exciting week. So let's dive right into it. The first really exciting, really exciting thing to come, and I needed to basically mention it first, is like the first big event. You can call it an event for the Absolute Universe. And I had no idea that it has already been a year. Wow. It has already been a year of the Absolute Universe. And what I thought it would be like how can you say like a passing thing, that it would be like a small experiment, has become a phenomenon on its own. It's crazy. And to the surprise of many of us, the first sort of crossover between the characters in the universe is not gonna be for the heroes but for the villains. uh I couldn't have imagined this because it seemed that every sort of absolute universe hero was doing their own thing, which was part of the excitement of it all, right? Why it was one of the reasons why it felt so fresh, wasn't that interconnected. But I guess they're gonna do something with the bad guys, and it's so fresh, so curious, so interesting. What are they going to do? In the recent issues of Absolute Batman, they have sort of teased the Absolute Joker, and they are kind of like building him up into being this not. I don't want to say he looks like a smart guy, but it looks like a more crafty guy. He's gonna do like way more complicated and convoluted stuff. And every villain in the Absolute Universe seems to be that way. It's curious when you think about it. It's like they are all Lex Luthors. it's it's just crazy. Like all of them. Maybe not Absolute Martian Manhunter. It's a little bit like that's the one that has been a little bit wiki. I mean, wiki, crazy. What was I want to say? Wacky. That was the word I was looking for. Wacky. So Al Ewing, who is gonna be mentioned. I mean, he's kind of like one of the hot ones right now, especially with Venom, right? It's hot out of the presses. So I don't know. I don't know anything on how this is gonna come together. How are they gonna fuse all the universes? But what is undeniable is that the joining of the bad guys is gonna be followed by the joining of the good guys. And it's funny to think about it because it has been decades, even though they reboot them and everything. Every time there's a new iteration of the Justice League or whatever, it's always this. It's not the same, but you feel like it's already been there, right? Like this is the first time that it feels fresh. So if the joining of bad guys follows, it's followed by the joining of good guys, it's gonna feel fresh as fuck. And since most of the absolute characters have been like hard as fuck, now that I said that, how are they gonna even come together? If we think about the Trinity, right? Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman, I don't see how the hell the absolute versions of these characters are coming together. I have no idea. But it must follow. Joining the bad guys must be followed by joining the good guys. This is so exciting. The absolute universe is so fun. And man, the mere fact that they are like starting with the bad guys, that's something for like, I don't know. This is the exact moment to pick up Absolute Evil, see what is going, and perhaps going back to whatever hero you feel like their story is more ingrained or like more part of this Absolute Evil event. You can call it a jumping point. Why not? As far as like me, I'm super excited. I've been loving the Absolute Universe, and of course, one event could change everything. Wah, wah, wah. Absolute Evil number 1. Next. This is the what was the name I proposed? The update or something? Well, I talked about Batgirl several weeks before, right? Like Cassandra Cain was in search for her mother's killers. Since then, she found out a new brother, like a whole new universe behind her. I think this book grew on me a lot. I love Cassandra Cain, but I love the character for like a weird reason, which is allegedly or supposedly she's the best fighter out of the whole Bat family. I don't know why that idea has always intrigued me. It has always intrigued me and led me to her as a character. Like she's the strongest fighter. Like they have played a little bit about that in her solo series. This one, the current ongoing one. They have played a little bit about that and how basically her mom and her whole legacy is completely linked to fighting and being a great fighter. But this series is tapping into one of my my weak points, my like basically one of the things that made me tick and that I love and I consume and I always end up like crying about it, which is family relations. Like the dynamic with her new brother, which eventually must come back not only to her mom, but it must come back to the Bat family. Like everything's gonna change for Cassandra. There has been a lot of fighting, which is good, but I love when a book sort of takes you through the evolution of a character in a way that is undeniably relevant. Like if they introduce a brother in not in a jokey way, like oh, like what like they did with Batman a couple of story arcs before, right? A couple of volumes before, an alleged brother. No, this is core character development. So it's already number 12, but it has been kind of self-contained, so it's never too late. This is the updated issue of the week, Batgirl. It already took the turn for the best, in my opinion. Something that, as I said, I really like and love, and like reading and like experiencing how the characters evolve and how they create new, not only relationships, but like emotional connections. When her new brother, or like half brother, meets with Stephanie, and like how he's like welcoming to the Bat family or not. That's gonna be something. So, Batgirl number 12, the updated. I need to come up with a better name. The updating, no, the I don't know. The updating. That's the only thing that comes to my mind right now. This week's updating. Weekly update is enough, I guess. Though I think it sounds like the weekend update, the thing from Saturday Night Live. But whatever. Batgirl number 12. Next, we stay on the DC brand to talk about. I don't know how to understand Gotham Academy. So I think it was pretty popular, even though it didn't go as hard as I thought that it would be. So Gotham Academy was this book that came out like 3 initiatives before about high school students that went to Gotham Academy. So the protagonist had like a background or like a family relation to magic. There were like connections, of course, with the police, with Batman. Damian came into place at some time. I don't know. Gotham Academy to me, the original one, was good because it brought the like some sort of levity to Gotham, right? You can always do this in Teen Titans or everything like, but I feel like DC has never done quite consistently as Marvel does, like either a teenage group or like a more teen or kid oriented sort of like books in general. In general, I think they don't do it. Like Marvel releases like new champions every once in a while, like Young Avengers, Runaways, like you name it. They have a bunch of interesting kid characters, like in the Fantastic Four. They could always release or do something. But I felt like Gotham Academy, to me, like the original one, was the first kind of like teenage oriented or teenage focused book, and it happened in Gotham. So it has Maps, one of the best characters ever, Maps Misoguchi, which was the geeky character. Like I didn't like love Gotham Academy, the original run, but I liked it, and I was sad that it was off. I mean, it was off that it ended because, as I said, it brings a sort of aspect to DC that whenever I think about it, the more you realize it's really weak. There's another book that they're releasing. How is it named? Like I think it's named Cowl or something, but it's about kids also, like finding the weapons from the Knights of the Round Table. But it's DC doing that effort to make more books oriented around teenagers or kids, which is something that whenever you think about it, they don't do much. But Gotham Academy first year, this new book is a prequel, so that's a little bit disappointing. I mean, you wanna know about these characters, you wanna read them again and like see their experience. Yeah, that's okay. But I gotta say, it was kind of like a turn off the fact that it was a prequel. Like I wanted to see them more part of the current state of affairs and DC universe in general. If it's a prequel, it's probably gonna stay as just a story, right? A story that happened before and now it doesn't really matter so much, I guess. But it's the same team that did the original is behind it, so I guess it's gonna be good fun. I would recommend Gotham Academy for anyone that it's, as I said, curious about seeing the whole teenage or kid side of DC, which we can't say that the Teen Titans are by now. It's even funny that the Teen Titans are still called the Teen Titans. Come on, man. Teen Titans, when they try to do that other team, led by Damien, and I don't know who else was in it, like somebody famous. Well, I think Damien was the biggest name in it, and they tried to do these younger Teen Titans, and it was. I thought it was okay, but it was a failure, so they had to bring back Nightwing and Arsenal and like Donna Troy. In the end, Starfire, Raven. People get like this idea that since the Teen Titans the series, it's well, I wanna say it's new, but it's been like what, like 20 years since they came out. But since then, the Teen Titans has had like stayed into this like frozen state of teenagers, but they don't do it anymore, and they don't represent that age group well. So Gotham Academy might be a little bit of a taste of that for the DC universe. So, if anyone is interested in that, give it a try. I know I will. Though I don't think they mentioned Maps in the press release. Maps was the best character. Next. So we go to Image a little bit. The one main reason why I want to recommend the Rockefellers by Peter J. Tomasi and Francis Manapool. How do you summarize this? This series, excuse me, it's a mix of like what, the Jetsons, the Incredibles, Black Science, whatever. Like it's a family that travels in time to the past, escaping something mysterious that happened in their future or their present in the 25th century. Right now, they are in the part of the story where they are introducing the main antagonist. Um, I don't wanna spoil everything, but like the main antagonist was kind of like a big surprise, and it's in that point of a story where things start getting revealed. So it's not the best jumping point for the series, but I wanted to recommend it because I think it has great family dynamics. As I said before, that's one of my weaknesses. And since they have like from grandpa, grandma to the kids, I think the Rockefeller has great family dynamics in a sci-fi or fantasy setting. Like it has a lot of heart. It's not my favorite by any means, but I think that dynamic itself, it's if it is like concentrated and focused in just one point in time, it's so enjoyable. So if you use the elements of sci-fi only to highlight that, that's amazing. Already number 9, it's not that long, so it's easy to go back and read the previous numbers. But as I said, they have taken great advantage of the setting, and I've been loving the emotion on it. And it's coming into one of the turning points of any story. So I think it's a great moment to pick it up. If you like family dynamics, science fiction, and surprises, I guess, The Rockefellers might be a new book for you. The Rockefeller number 9, published by Image Comics. Next, we stay with Image again. I've talked about Geoff Johns before. I think I even mentioned Geiger and his whole effort for like creating, I don't know what his name, his shared universe is called, like the unnamed, the unheard, the what is it, like I don't remember. And I mentioned this book, Rook Exodus, and whenever I talk about Geoff Johns, I feel like this um like writer from the 90s, like straight up like doing these fantasy worlds that are like super structured. So in Rook Exodus, you have these animal avatars that sort of share the world in a really strange way, that you are not really so sure how the dynamics and the balance work in this world where you have like human avatars commanding animals. It feels like I don't know, like Thundercats or something like that, like Power Rangers at times, but it has that 90s comic greediness that if you hear like 90s comics, you sort of or immediately can understand where this is going, and Geoff Jones is the best for that. Rook Exodus hasn't been one of my favorite books, but this is sort of like the beginning of a new story in the book number 7, so I guess it's a good time to pick it up. This is the recommendation of the week because it's not, to me, it's not Geoff Jones' strongest book, even though it's critically acclaimed. I feel like if I'm being honest, I thought the animals were going to be a bigger part of it, but the animals, they feel like they're just like avatars of the for the main characters. Uh, Maybe that's me, like trying to put so much expectations of what I want out of the book. That could be my bad. But when I saw this story about human avatars, I thought the animals were going to be a bigger part of it. They just sort of like represent the personalities of each one of the characters. But anyways, in this new story arc, they are like uh, searching for like a missing one of these avatar types that I want to call them. It's like one of the most important ones is missing, and they're gonna find him. And I guess it's gonna reveal more of the like the checks and balances in this shared world of animal avatars. I'm guessing that's where they're going. I hope that's where they're going. As I said, this is a recommendation because I'm not that into this book, but it's a good starting point and it has a bunch of animals in it. And I guess that's the main reason why I'm recommending it. It has a bunch of animals in it. And Jason Fabok's art is great in it too. I can say that. But that was the mere recommendation of the week. Next, back to our old dear Marvel. So knowing that it's going to be a movie, right? Yeah, knowing that the Spider-Man Noir movie is coming. When is it coming? I don't know. Like 2 years from now? Who the hell knows? All I know is that Nicolas Cage is gonna be Spider-Man Noir again, one of the breakthrough characters of the what? Four Spider-Verses, including the movie. It took a long time for them to release a new Spider-Man Noir solo book, but here it is, like written by Eric Larsen, one of the main guys between Image Comics. I never followed the Savage Dragon. I think is one of his greatest creation. But this is one guy that does a more like adult sort of writing, right? So especially for Spider-Man Noir, I think like one of the biggest new things in this solo Spider-Man Noir new story, I think they're gonna introduce his Gwen Stacy. I don't know. Like, to be fair, I've never been that much of a fan of Spider-Man Noir. Like the whole really extremely greedy Spider-Man and the guy just like wearing a gun and the whole. It's like it's not steampunk, right? But it's like a noir. It's a noir setting, so it's literally darker and like literally like everything is like a little more grim and dark. Yeah, I've never felt like that Spider-Man is necessarily like that. I feel like every Spider-Man story has a dark element into it. It's necessary because they always make Spider-Man shine against that. So if you make a full dark Spider-Man, I never thought it would be that interesting. I think the main reason for Spider-Man's noir success is how he looks. I've mentioned before the Gotham by Gaslight series on DC, which is sort of like the same thing. It's just like an adaptation into another setting of the same character, even though the Spider-Man Noir is like one of the less Peter Parker-y sort of characters themselves. I don't know. Clearly, this is they're like bringing this character up, like because he's just popular, and Larsen is, as I said, like some of these more dark, gritty type of writers. So I guess it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be okay. It's not particularly my cup of tea, but if I read the comic with Nicolas Cage's voice in my head, I think it will be pretty cool. I guess so, right? And considering that Spider-Man right now is going into like a really dark phase, I don't wanna spoil it, but like I talk about Spider-Man, there being two Spider-Mans. They already revealed who these two Spider-Mans are, and it wasn't necessarily crazy, but it was like, huh? And like since I recommended the current run in Amazing, now we know where Peter Parker is and who the other two Spider-Mans are, and it's all about balance, right? And like you don't need to have a Spider-Man noir when Peter Parker's life is noir enough, you could say. But anyways, Spider-Man noir, number one. Next, we stay in Marvel. Like with to me, this is the book of the week for me. This is the book of the week for me. Spirits of Violence number one by Sabir Pirzada y Paul Davidson. Like this is the like I feel like they have been bouncing around the whole sort of Ghost Rider verse, if you can call it. We had Akihiro's Wolverine's son becoming Wolverine. We had the last volume about Ghost Rider that was like really grim, and they introduced like this new witch or warlock character, and it was quite violent. It was quite grim. They they sort of advanced the lore a little bit, like bringing Danny Ketch at the end. So everything has been like really slow brewing. I always feel like they bounce around with the character of Ghost Rider a lot. Suddenly bringing Mephisto, he's in, he's out. Remember, like after the Blood Hunt event, was it that or before when Ghost Rider became like the king of the underworld, or like whatever Mephisto is, and that was in Vegas and he was sitting on a throne. But then like whatever, like after that they did a soft reset with the solo series for Ghost Rider, went back on the road. But even though his powers were like in clearly a transition stage, and then when they brought Danny Ketch back, his powers also were kind of like weird. Danny Ketch was the spirit of vengeance, was it? For no, spirits of, he was the spirit of something for a while, not the Ghost Rider. And by the end of there, they created this new spirit of violence character. So they have been expanding the lore of the Ghost Rider in a really slow but steady and progressive way, and it has finally come to this conclusion of this book, The Spirits of Violence number one. Not only that, they mentioned in the press release that Robbie Reyes is gonna be there, and Robbie Reyes low-key became I don't remember what was the name, but he became sort of like a god, and was lost in the in-between layers of existence, like being a non-existent. It was, I don't even know if I can explain who Roy Reyes became eventually. But man, looking back at when they announced Robbie Reyes as Ghost Rider, I loved that book at the beginning. I loved it. It was so simple. Again, it had family dynamics between Robbie and his brother and his uncle. His uncle, who was like the ignition, like the beginning of his spirit of vengeance. But again, he sort of fell back into that role of being sort of like a, I don't know if he was a god. Like honestly, I think I think I need to brush up on Robbie Reyes before I go into Spirits of Violence. But anyways, to me this is the book of the week, Spirits of Violence, because I'm a big Ghost Rider fan. Um, that's also related to Nicolas Cage, but like now it's gonna all come together. Like the Hellberine was okay. I always felt like it was a little bit forced how they bring Akihiro in, and they really didn't acknowledge all of his mutant side, or like the life he had before he became the Hellberine. It only came at the end of the book where they brought back his friends and everything. But anyways, I think this is a turning point for the Ghost Rider, not only for Johnny Blaze or Danny Cage or Robbie, but for all of them, and that's good. I didn't know, I didn't read that this book was coming out before like last week, so I'm pretty happy that finally the Ghost Rider is gonna do something relevant. I hope they take all these pieces they sort of like sort them out in a way that we can clearly see where each one of these characters are going and how are their powers and stories gonna evolve from here. I hope they do that. I really do. And well, it has been a long time. I mean, if you follow these characters, of course it has been a long time. But yeah, it's time. But anyways, Spirits of Vengeance #1. I have one last update book recommendation to talk about. I said that we're gonna talk about Al Ewing's again. Well, Charles Soule is also coming, and a bunch of other creators, and the people involved with Venom for the last, I don't know how many years, are coming back to each one to add something to this Venom Legacy 250. This is an update book because I think I've mentioned more than once how the current all new Venom, like spoiler, is Mary Jane. I think when it began, I talked about it a little bit, and I was having my own theories of who was going to be the all new Venom. They teased it a lot, but eventually, what they did with the reveal of Mary Jane has been quite nice. Because unlike most of the other symbiote hosts for Venom that have been before, they had done a really interesting dynamic with Mary Jane. They joined them together in a more like extreme way, and they went into the personal. Like for example, I really enjoyed Space Knight. Space Knight, I think it was called, when he was bonded to Flash and they went to space and they found out the whole Clean Tar Justiciar, or like the Clean Tar, they found out that they were good guys basically. I loved it, but that was more lore oriented, like symbiote lore oriented. The current run with all new Venom has all been like personal, and I feel like both Mary Jane and the symbiote have played on each other in a really interesting, funny, and even heartwarming way as characters as they evolve. But now Null is back. I wasn't particularly the biggest fan of Null when they did the event, the whole King Black saga and everything. I felt like the weakest part of the whole King Black saga was that the character of Venom moved too fast in, I can say, a short amount of time. It was too much in a short amount of time, between the end of the whole Space Knight, discovering the Clintar were good guys, then discovering they have like a quote unquote god, the introduction of the notion of the Codex, and having all the symbiotes together, then Venom jumping into another host. I don't remember the guy's name, I even forgot. Then uh, then Eddie becoming the King of Black, and Eddie having like this existential crisis with his alternate future. Like, it's been a lot, and I think all of that began with the whole King Black saga. And well, it's such a big character that it was unavoidable that he was gonna come back eventually, and that eventually is now. um, I feel like it's a little premature, to be honest. I was really enjoying the all new Venom part. I was really sort of starting to dig into it, starting to like see, okay, where this is going and everything, right? I was starting to think, okay, how is Dylan going to be part of it? How are they gonna eventually bring back Eddie Brock, who is the Carnage host right now? Like I was slowly coming into it, slowly, and well, basically now bringing Null back. It's like okay, it's gonna be like a fast tracking like more important events who that weren't really necessary. Like it wasn't really necessary to speed up the whole process. Like it wasn't. But anyways, um, I guess they're gonna come up with more stuff, and this is gonna move faster, I guess. But whenever you have these legacy numbers, it's always implied that something important is gonna happen. So I'm gonna check it out eventually. I guess in a couple of weeks, I'll know. But well, anyways, that is the last sort of half update, half recommendation of the week. As I said, a lot of like fun things are coming up. I'm always a couple of weeks behind, but that Spirits of Vengeance book, man, I might just jump forward and give it a read. I'm so looking forward to Roy Reyes' return. I loved it. But anyways, another week of comics, a lot to read. I'm also reading like the Mistborn books. Like I try to cram some chapters in between like that. Like one day I had like a lot of time to read, and I said, okay, I'm gonna do some Mistborn, and I end up like reading like 3 hours of it, and I'm not even done. Man, reading is cool. I hope my eyes don't shrivel out of the blue. I just hope so. But anyways, get a read, whatever it's comics or books. Have a great time in the world of imagination, and see you all next week with new and more recommendations. Read on. Bye bye.